All right, so I was gonna script this video out, but I just got back from filming a VSL and ads at the pyramids, and my focus is a little bit cooked. So I figured out the best way to just get my point across would be let's hop on a video and let's just jump right into it and whiteboard this out. Now, the main issue that I am seeing from the cold emails that I get, the cold emails that I get on consultation calls with, or when I first speak with somebody, these are some of the mistakes that they're typically making early on, and they're reoccurring mistakes that you may think that you have been fixing these by, oh, we updated the target, we updated the copywriting, or we hired somebody to write some copy for us, or maybe we pulled a new list from Apollo or whatever, and maybe we switched from cold email outreach to LinkedIn outreach, or from LinkedIn to cold email, whatever it may be. These are common mistakes that I'm seeing over and over across the board. And I've talked about this in other videos. I really need to get an iPad and an Apple Pencil so I can just actually draw this stuff out for you. Um, Subscribe if you want me to do that. But I've talked to you guys before about how cold email is just offer times volume. That's all it is. It's not some marketing trick. It's not some type of fancy copywriting. Of course, copywriting goes into the equation a little bit. You can't just be relying on ChatGPT, because if you rely on ChatGPT to write you copy, it's going to write you a paragraph. It's going to put bullet points and bold text in there, and it just automatically comes off as a sales pitch right off the bat. And cold email should be something that is conversation forward. You're not looking to close the deal on the first cold email. You're just looking to generate an affirmative response. That's all you're looking to do. Now, once you start generating those affirmative responses, you can start to work your way out of that and back out of that data, because what you should be tracking, and what we track for all of our clients, is how many sends does it take us to get to an affirmative response? And then from that affirmative response, how many of those do we need to get us to a call scheduled, right? Because that's what matters at the end of the day is, how many sends are we making to affirmative responses to call scheduled. That's like the rainbow kind of that you're looking for, the arc that you're looking to go on, your winter arc. So that is the outline that you should be tracking and following those ratios every single day. To touch on the points again with the offer times the volume, the mistakes that I see people making is not optimizing their offer for front end cold traffic. So there's some tests that you can run, and this is true for ads as well. If you're just thinking this applies to cold email, it also applies to ads. This is, if you're running ads right now and you're not seeing traction, this could be why. So test number one, the risk and ROI imbalance. When somebody receives a cold email from you, they should be able to subconsciously evaluate, if I even responded to this email, is there potential ROI either right now or in my immediate future? It doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, but it could be some access to alpha information, insider information, data that could help their team, maybe some type of very hyper relevant case study, or even better yet, you draw something up custom for them beforehand that gets sent out, right? That's ideally. Test number two is the commodity language. If you're using ChatGPT to write your emails, if you're using the same copy over and over, even the same offer, all of these things will eventually fatigue. Don't even use ChatGPT to write your copy in the first place. Claude is okay. It's getting there. It's getting a lot better, but it still needs somebody that's driving the system that knows what they're doing, and then also just some revisions here and there to actually make it work and make it make sense, right? So if you sound like everybody else, if you have just a very generic offering, like we help you get more leads, that isn't industry specific enough. And that's another factor that falls under test number two that they're looking for, is you have to sound like an industry peer. And a lot of the copy that I like to use that can drive some results that I'll let you guys steal right now is having a conversation in your cold emails that is not from like a vendor perspective trying to go up the chain to get in contact with like a manager, director, VP, founder, whatever it is. It's actually industry peer-to-peer outreach. And we do this by anchoring this off of a macro industry trigger event. I also have another video on this that I'll link below. But by linking to macro industry data and then interlacing that with some type of internal event that is relevant, not only at the industry level, but ideally something internal. So this could be that person that you're reaching out to. That list is people that are newly hired. Maybe they just transitioned laterally into a new role. Maybe they got promoted. Maybe their company had funding. Maybe they were in the news, right? And the more data you have behind this, the better, right? And so a lot of people think that outbound nowadays is like copywriting and how fancy can you get with your marketing skills or how good can you make the copy. But it's actually the data that is providing the most amount of leverage nowadays because everybody is using Claude, everybody is using ChatGPT to write copy, but nobody really has access, except a select few, to very good, high quality data that can drive these results, right? And so when you're framing these emails with a macro, like external trigger event, and then you plug in the internal trigger event, and then you wrap this all together basically in a bow with like, hey, I just wanted to see if you wanted to learn more about this. Something that's like very, very low friction. And there will have to be some testing, right? Like test between a high friction CTA and a lower friction CTA. Cold email, you typically have to lean a lot more towards that low friction CTA because everything will flow downstream from the affirmative responses, aka marketing qualified leads, that you're able to get. If you can generate a good amount of marketing qualified leads, even if that first response is not like, boom, let's get on a call, let's book it now, I'm super interested, I want to buy from you. If you can at least generate that conversation, if you have, relatively good sales skills, I'm talking like average sales rep, you should be closing 20%. Just take that, like once they get on a call with you, 20% of that, 20 to 25, right? And so everything flows downstream from conversations. It's the same way if we were cold calling, right? It's like, who do you think is going to get better results? The rep that makes 100 dials every single day, no matter what? Or is it going to be the rep that I'll really, do like a fancy, like cool pitch to like 50 guys this day and 25 guys this day, and then maybe 5 the other day. The rep that just does 100 cold calls every single day is naturally going to get better and naturally be able to find a groove because he's collecting data at speed. And that's something else that I will add in real quick too, is if you're out here sending 100, 500, even 1,000 emails a day, it's really not enough to drive impactful growth and traction. Sure, if you're working with a relatively small TAM and you have a very strong offer, and maybe you're willing to be super local with your outreach and your presence, and you're like, hey, I'll come meet you in person. You have a good risk reversal guarantee. Okay, those emails can get traction, but you are also going to eventually run out of TAM, and you can continue to rework the offer, revamp the copy to keep things fresh. But eventually, that TAM, if it's very, very small, will fatigue if you're not like constantly updating the offer or updating the copy, right? So, just another factor to keep in mind is you should be able to run some volume to these guys. Hidden friction. Now, this is what I mean when some of you with your cold emails are going into these conversations and going into these emails with a lot of friction. You more so want to introduce friction when you're running inbound funnels. So like if you're running ads or you're posting a lot of content and you're asking people to like, DM you for a lead magnet or like, DM you and then they can get the VSL and then they're on the VSL and then they have to fill out a questionnaire. That's where you want to introduce friction because you don't want to take up your time if you're the closer. You don't want to take up your sales team time with like some 15-year-old that just thinks it's like a free chat, right? Okay, so like it's a sales conversation, obviously, but that's where you want to introduce friction. Running cold outbound, you pretty much want to reduce that friction as much as possible because, like I said, the conversations are going to flow downstream from the affirmative responses that you generate. It's just literally, like you have like your top of funnel right here. And then if you were to like step down, this also looks like Class Bravo airspace for my aviators out there. But if you're like stepping down into this funnel, which this is really poorly drawn, um, if you're like stepping down into this funnel, like your top of funnel here is like your positive replies, affirmative responses, so marketing qualified leads. Come down here, here's like a sales qualified lead slash like call booked. Obviously, guys, can you tell I went to school for graphic design? Uh, and then this is like closed, right? Give or take some. But this is how you have to envision it. So why would you not try to expand that aperture for your marketing qualified leads as much as possible? Get as many in the bucket, because now that's more people that are in your ecosystem, like running whatever it is. You run like a retargeting email sequence. They go to your website, now they have your pixel for ads. Maybe they're not booking a call right off the bat, but you have a caller, reach out to them. So you really want to expand that affirmative response and marketing qualified bucket as much as possible. And you do that by reducing friction. So what are some trigger words that we want to avoid? Obviously, like buy now, free in the sense of like it will come across as spam. Like sometimes the spam filters catch it, but also too, if you're just using free, especially if it's something that you're trying to do like SaaS wise, I think that's a little bit burnt out. If you're getting really creative and you're like, hey, we can this is, we'll eat the cost for this first time and show you how it works, that's a lot better because that's natural. But you don't want to use like those marketing spam words like free or anything like that. Same thing with like your tone of voice. Don't want to be overly excited, like overly excited. And like this is like if you get on a sales call with somebody, instead of the closer like just being normal and like doing his job, he's like, oh hey John, it's great to see you, yeah, it's like a great day, like I'm super excited to like get this call started. And sure, like I think some salespeople are like that naturally, but it just like automatically throws up sales resistance in my mind of like, why are they so like nervous and like trying so hard, right? It's the same thing in cold email. People can kind of feel that. So don't want to be overly excited with your tone. Laid back, especially if you're doing like founder to founder, like VP to VP or anything at that level. You're wanting to do your best to not come across as a sales letter. So this is things like actually purposely not capitalizing certain letters, using very short forms of copywriting, like one-liners. We have some follow-ups where we do first name question mark. And this is like email 2 or email 3 after they've received one or two messages from us, and that generates a ton of replies, right? They may not all be like, hey, let's book a call now, but it gets them re-engaged and back into the ecosystem, right? That's what you're aiming for at this very top of funnel with your cold email. So does a CTA require mental effort? So this could be another example is like, a lot of you guys will want to do like audits. Like, oh, well, we can always run like a free audit for our clients, right? Like or a free strategy call, right? But for some industries, this audit actually takes a lot of time, right? So if you're like maybe in the IT sector, or if you're like in cybersecurity, running an audit like this could actually like be an entire process. Like they have to get it approved, the passwords and like API. I'm not an engineer in this sense. I use Claudebot, but stuff has to be shared, right? And so this audit is actually taking more time, more effort. And then you also need to have an offer that a CFO can defend, right? Because one day, ideally, your offer is going to be brought in front of management, brought in front of the CFO, or the CFO is bringing that to the founder. And the CFO needs to be able to defend that from an ROI claim perspective. Hey, this company right here that reached out to us, they can do X, and they've done it before for these 3 companies, and they can do the same for us, right? That's like the framework you're looking for. Is you want an offer that a CFO can defend. Now, to wrap this all up for test number 3, typically going for something very low friction. So this is like offering a Loom video. This is offering a breakdown. And what I mean breakdown is this is like, we'll give you the strategy for free. You don't have to give us access to anything, but we'll give you the strategy, right? That can be a good way to go ahead and generate that first call. And now when that first call comes, you have even more trust because you've already like given an outline of like, hey, took a look at your website. Here's points 1, 2, and 3. Here's what I noticed might need some tweaks, and then take it from there, right? So test 4, proof architecture. This is going to continue to get bigger and bigger. Daniel Fazio put out a cold email wizard, and he's the co-founder for Client Ascension. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys watching this will be familiar, but he put out a video like a couple months ago that was really good. And he was just ranting to the camera, and he was talking about how nobody cares about case studies anymore, because everybody has case studies. Everybody's, like helped a company raise, 5 million, or, increase their revenue by 5x in this time frame, right? Everybody's done that now, apparently. So people aren't as trusting when you're just throwing out case studies or just, mentioning the companies that you've worked with, even though like this should be true. People are just less receptive to it because everybody started using it and everybody started making claims, some of them true, some of them not true. And then obviously as the supply of something goes up, even like in info and how people talk about things, the demand for that inversely goes down, right? So nowadays what people are looking for, and this is what Daniel mentioned, but I also believe it's true as well, is people are looking for deliverable stacking. What can you bring to the table with your solution? Whether that's something as simple as like a SaaS, or maybe you're one of the AI providers. Ideally, it's something very, very unique and very untapped. But like if you're an elevator consulting company, you have a much like your market just isn't going to be as penetrated, right? Or something very unique like commercial waste management, or some of these industries that just aren't hit as hard in cold email, right? And now everybody that's watching this video is going to go hit those guys if you can get the right leads for them. Now, can they see your system, or is it just vague testimonials? So what I mean by this is, are you actually able to pull up the dashboards of the results that you're getting? Are you actually able to show whether this is in like whiteboard format, or is this like actual screenshots of your system that you can share? Can you actually share like your process? Can you deliverable stack with what you do and the process that you follow? For us, a lot of our outbound is not constructed around being creative or writing the best copy, even though I'm a damn good copywriter. Our leverage actually comes from just being able to track religiously a bunch of different offers, a bunch of different CTAs, to get to data as fast as possible in a sprint-like method for those first 30 days. And then from there, from basically buying all that data and collecting all that data, now we're able to generate truly the best offer for your product or your business and get that in front of as many buyers as possible. And when I say like them being able to see your system, you should be able to deliverable stack with the things that you do. So think about like your assembly line of what your team is doing every day to fulfill for clients. And that assembly line, that becomes part of what you can lead with in terms of making your product stand out and be different than everybody else in the market, right? This is especially true too with the rise of AI, as you see a ton of more like AI wrappers come onto the market, with how easy it is to ship stuff very fast with Claude. People aren't impressed anymore by the typical landing page out there that's kind of like, it has like a SaaS feel to it, like the Framer landing pages. What people are looking for is, how is this product like actually different aside from whatever case studies they might have? So those are the 4 tests. Those are the 4 things that you want to plug into everything from every angle when you go to run your cold email campaigns. If you do have any questions on this, do leave them in the comments below and I will get back to them. This is myself responding, not a team member or somebody else. It's me responding. I read all of them. So if you have requests or ideas for additional videos, do leave those down below. And then I'll also link the videos that I talked about as well, so you can access those. And if you're somebody that's serious about growing in 2026 with your go-to-market, whether that's cold email, ads, content, do go ahead and book a call below, and we'll get you onto the calendar. And I'll let you know if I feel like it's a good fit. And I'll talk to you soon.